My GF said my birthday photo with my sister was not a sisterly kiss and demanded I delete it. After our breakup, I learned she'd been actively trying to isolate me from my family for months. I turned 22 last week, and what should have been a simple celebration turned into a huge mess that ended my first serious relationship. I still can't believe how things escalated so quickly over something that seemed so innocent at the time. My girlfriend, Megan, 21F, was traveling in Europe when my birthday came around. We had been dating for almost 2 years, and this was the first time she'd missed my birthday. I wasn't too bothered by it since her trip had been planned months in advance with her college friends. We kept in touch through video calls whenever she had decent Wi-Fi. When my parents asked what I wanted to do for my birthday, I told them I didn't want anything big. Just a small family dinner would be perfect. My mom insisted on baking my favorite chocolate cake, and I spent the evening with my parents and my 2 sisters, Jenna, 24, and Kate, 23. The dinner was really nice. We laughed about old family stories, my dad told his usual bad jokes, and my sisters gave me small but thoughtful gifts. My mom outdid herself with the cake, adding this fancy chocolate ganache that she knows I love. When it came time for candles, I closed my eyes to make a wish. Right as I was about to blow out the candles, Kate leaned over and gave me a quick peck on the cheek. It was just a normal sister thing, nothing unusual in our family. Jenna happened to take a picture at that exact moment. When she showed it to us afterward, everyone agreed it was a great shot. In the photo, I looked a bit red-faced from leaning toward the candles, and there was this genuine smile on my face that wasn't posed. Kate and I both looked happy, and my parents thought it captured a perfect family moment. My family suggested I use it as my profile picture on Instagram. I hadn't updated my profile in months, and I agreed it was a good photo, so I posted it and tagged my sister. I didn't think twice about it. The next day, I had a video call with Megan. At first, everything seemed normal. I told her about my low-key birthday, and she showed me some pictures from her trip to Barcelona. Then she mentioned my new profile picture. Her tone changed completely. Megan told me she felt uncomfortable with the picture. When I asked why, she said she didn't like seeing another girl kissing me in my profile picture. I laughed it off and reminded her it was just my sister. She wasn't amused and said that was beside the point. People who didn't know my family might think it was another girlfriend or something. I told her that was ridiculous. Kate was tagged in the photo, we share the same last name, and we actually look alike enough that people can tell we're related. Besides, who cares what random people on the internet might think? Megan insisted it made her uncomfortable regardless of my explanation. She wasn't yelling or anything, but she clearly wanted me to change it. I was pretty surprised by her reaction. We'd never had issues like this before, and it seemed like such a silly thing to get upset about. Our family has always been affectionate. I hug my parents whenever I see them, and no one thinks that's weird. I couldn't understand why this harmless birthday photo bothered her so much. Later that evening, I mentioned Megan's reaction to my sisters while we were watching TV. Both of them laughed and asked if she was serious. I told them I was considering changing the picture just to keep the peace, even though I thought her concerns were overblown. Kate shrugged and said she didn't care either way, it was my profile, after all. But Jenna had a stronger reaction. She reminded me how rare it was to get good family photos now that we're all adults with busy schedules. She said she was proud of that picture and felt sad that I seemed ashamed of it. Then she made a point that stuck with me: if I decided to take it down, that was my choice, not Megan's. I shouldn't blame it on her or use her as an excuse for my decision. After thinking about it, I came up with a compromise. I'd keep the photo up for a week, then change it to something else. I also suggested that Jenna send me some of the other pictures from my birthday so I could get a few printed and framed. Both my sisters seemed satisfied with that plan. When I spoke to Megan the next day, I explained my decision. I told her that while I understood her concerns, I personally wanted to keep the picture up for a week, and then I'd change it. I promised that when she got back from her trip, we could take a new picture together for my profile. I pointed out that most of her profile pictures were solo shots anyway, usually vacation photos or selfies at the beach. Megan seemed okay with this compromise. She thanked me for considering her feelings and agreed that it was ultimately my decision. But things took an unexpected turn later that day. The photo started getting a lot of likes, but also some weird comments. A few of my old friends from high school left joking comments that seemed inappropriate. Even my cousin wrote something that made me uncomfortable, even though he definitely knew Kate was my sister. I didn't quite understand where all this was coming from. That evening, Megan called me again. She had changed her mind and wanted me to take the picture down immediately. When I asked what prompted this change, she said she just wasn't comfortable with it and didn't think it was an appropriate sisterly kiss. I still had no idea what she was talking about. It was a completely normal cheek kiss that happened to be caught on camera. Despite my confusion, I agreed to take the photo down. But the whole situation had started to annoy me. I not only deleted the picture from Instagram but also removed several other photos. The next day, I decided to take a break from social media altogether and deactivated my account. I'd never been a huge fan of Instagram anyway. I mostly had it to keep up with friends and Megan. It always felt like a distraction, with endless notifications and people tagging me in things I didn't care about. When Megan noticed my account was gone, she called me right away. She said deleting my account was an overreaction and unnecessary. Her main concern seemed to be how we would share photos now. I pointed out that we could still text or use our video calls, but she insisted Instagram was more convenient for sharing pictures. After some back and forth, I suggested that she could just give me her Instagram password so I could log in and see her photos when I wanted to. I was surprised when she immediately agreed. She even suggested we could make it a joint account with both our names. I said that wasn't necessary, I just wanted access to see her pictures, and she could post whatever she wanted. She agreed but asked me not to read her private messages, which I promised not to do. I logged in once just to make sure the password worked, then logged out. I noticed she had changed her profile picture to one of us together from a few months back. A few days later, Megan returned from her trip. I went to pick her up from the airport, and Jenna came along to help with navigation and luggage. Before her flight landed, Megan had sent excited messages saying she couldn't wait to see me. But when she walked out of the terminal and saw both of us waiting, her expression changed. She greeted me with a hug but barely acknowledged Jenna with a cold "Oh, you're here." The car ride home was awkward. Megan sat in the front with me, and Jenna was in the back. Megan barely spoke, just looking out the window or checking her phone. Later that night, she admitted she wished I hadn't brought my sister along. A week later, my aunt's birthday was coming up, and I invited Megan to join our family celebration. When I mentioned this to my parents, they said they wanted to keep it family only. I didn't push back and told Megan she couldn't come. She was clearly disappointed about being excluded. I started to notice a pattern of tension between Megan and my sisters. Hoping to improve things, I convinced Jenna and Kate to take Megan shopping without me. They agreed, and when they all came back, they seemed to have had a good time. Everyone was smiling and talking about the stores they'd visited. I thought maybe things were getting better. I was wrong. A few days later, Megan was at our house when Kate made a joking comment about the whole profile picture incident, implying that Megan was too controlling. Megan immediately got defensive and told me directly that she didn't get along with my sisters. I said that was fine, not everyone has to be best friends. But then she dropped a bombshell: she wouldn't visit my house anymore unless my sisters weren't there. This created a practical problem since I still lived at home while finishing college. I started spending more time at Megan's apartment instead, but that arrangement had its own challenges with my class schedule and part-time job. When I asked my sisters if they could occasionally make themselves scarce when Megan visited, they refused. They said they shouldn't have to leave their own home because of Megan's controlling behavior. I couldn't argue with that logic, so I told Megan there wasn't much I could do about the situation. Then came the breaking point. Last weekend, Megan was at our house while both my sisters were home. I'm still not entirely clear on how it started, but a massive argument erupted between them. I watched helplessly as years of built-up tension exploded into harsh words and accusations. After Megan left, my sisters told me they thought she was manipulative and that I should break up with her. When I spoke to Megan later, I apologized for the fight getting so out of hand. But instead of moving past it, she accused me of always taking my family's side and demanded that I stand up for her against my sisters. I told her I didn't want to pick sides. The whole fight was unnecessary and shouldn't have happened in the first place. The argument escalated when Megan called Kate a very offensive name. I immediately told her that was completely out of line and demanded she apologize. She refused, saying I never stood up for her when my sisters were mean to her, so why should she apologize now? I insisted the insult was way over the line and unacceptable. She still refused to apologize, and we both grew more frustrated. Finally, Megan announced that we were through. She said she couldn't stand me or my family anymore, and apparently hadn't been able to for a long time. She claimed my sisters had a weird amount of control over me and that I always tried to please them even when they were wrong. She called my relationship with them disturbing and revealed that all her friends thought the birthday photo was weird, but she hadn't told me that part because she didn't want to hurt my feelings. Then she walked out, ending our 2-year relationship just like that. The next 2 days were awful. I barely got out of bed. I tried texting Megan to work things out, but she ignored my messages. I yelled at my sisters, blaming them for ruining my relationship. Megan had been my first serious girlfriend, and suddenly she was gone. After a couple of days, I pulled myself together and apologized to my sisters for lashing out at them. They told me they always thought Megan wasn't right for me and that I deserved better. According to them, she had always been controlling and jealous, and our relationship was one-sided with me making all the compromises. It's been about a week now, and the relationship is definitely over. I still don't fully understand how a simple birthday photo led to all this, but maybe the problems were there all along and this just brought them to the surface. It will take time to move on, but I guess sometimes relationships just aren't meant to be. Update 1. It's been about 3 weeks since my last post, and I wanted to give an update on what's happened since Megan and I broke up. A lot has changed, and not in the ways I expected. After the initial shock of the breakup wore off, I started focusing on my classes and spending more time with my friends. Several of them admitted they never really clicked with Megan but hadn't said anything while we were together. My friend Alex even mentioned that Megan had once told him to stop texting me so often because it was weird for guys to text each other that much. I had no idea she'd said that. Alex and I have been friends since middle school and talk almost daily. About a week after the breakup, I got a text from Megan asking if we could meet for coffee to talk. I was hesitant but agreed, thinking maybe we could at least end things on better terms. We met at a cafe near campus, and she surprised me by apologizing for how things ended. She said she'd overreacted about the photo and admitted she had issues with my close relationship with my family that she should have addressed differently. I appreciated her apology, but during our conversation, something felt off. She kept dropping hints about giving our relationship another try. When I didn't immediately jump at the suggestion, her tone changed completely. She started bringing up all the things she'd done for me during our relationship and how I was throwing it all away over one little fight. It felt manipulative, like she was trying to make me feel guilty. As we were leaving the cafe, she mentioned in passing that she'd seen me on campus with some blonde girl and asked if I was already dating someone new. I explained it was probably Lisa, my lab partner for chemistry class. We'd been meeting to work on our project. Megan made a dismissive comment about how quickly I'd moved on, even though there was absolutely nothing romantic between Lisa and me. The next day, I discovered that Megan had changed the password to her Instagram account. I didn't care about accessing it anymore, but it was the principle of the thing. She could have just told me she was changing it. Then I started getting strange messages from mutual friends asking if I was okay and saying they were there for me. When I asked what they were talking about, they mentioned Megan had posted some vague, cryptic messages on her social media implying I had done something terrible to her. I finally reactivated my Instagram account to see what was going on. Megan had posted several emotional updates with captions like "Trust is everything and once it's broken." And sometimes the people you care about the most are the ones who hurt you the worst. She hadn't named me directly, but all our mutual friends knew we'd broken up, so it was pretty obvious who she was talking about. What really stunned me, though, was discovering she'd gone through and untagged herself from all our photos together except the ones where she looked particularly good. She'd also blocked both my sisters and several of my close friends. I decided to text her and ask her directly what she was doing. She responded that she was just processing her emotions and that I had no right to dictate how she handled the breakup. When I pointed out that her posts were deliberately misleading people about what happened between us, she accused me of still trying to control her even after the relationship was over. Meanwhile, things at home were getting tense in a different way. My sisters were trying to set me up with various friends of theirs. One night, Jenna invited her coworker Rachel over for dinner without telling me it was essentially a blind date. Kate did something similar the following weekend with her friend Olivia. While both women were perfectly nice, I was nowhere near ready to start dating again, and I felt ambushed. When I confronted my sisters about it, they claimed they were just trying to help me move on. Kate mentioned she'd always thought Megan was wrong for me, and now she felt vindicated. Jenna went even further, showing me screenshots of conversations where Megan had apparently trash-talked our family to mutual friends months before the birthday photo incident. I had no idea if these screenshots were real or taken out of context, but it made me question how much I really knew about what was going on during my relationship. The situation got even more complicated when I ran into Megan's roommate Ashley at the campus bookstore. Ashley had always been friendly to me, and we chatted briefly about how we were both doing. She hesitated for a moment, then told me something that caught me completely off guard. Apparently, while Megan was on her Europe trip, she'd been constantly posting pictures with some guy named Stefan who was part of their travel group. Ashley said the photos looked pretty cozy, lots of arms around shoulders and cheek kisses, but they all disappeared from her Instagram right before she returned home. I didn't know what to make of this information. Was Ashley just trying to make me feel better about the breakup by implying Megan might have been interested in someone else? Or was there something more to it? I didn't want to jump to conclusions or get pulled into post-breakup drama. Then last weekend, things reached a new level of awkward. I was at a party at Alex's house when Megan showed up unexpectedly with a group of people I didn't recognize. She acted surprised to see me there, even though Alex had been my friend long before she and I started dating. She spent the entire evening making a show of having an amazing time, laughing loudly and constantly glancing over to see if I was watching her. When she noticed I was talking to a girl from my statistics class, she suddenly appeared beside us, putting her hand on my arm and asking if we could talk privately for a minute. I reluctantly stepped aside with her, and she immediately started crying, saying she missed me and had made a huge mistake breaking up. The dramatic shift from her behavior all evening was jarring. When I didn't immediately respond the way she wanted, she walked away and announced loudly to her friends that they should leave because the party was lame anyway. After the party, Alex told me that Megan had texted him earlier that day specifically asking if I would be there. So much for her coincidental appearance. I'm starting to see patterns in Megan's behavior that I missed while we were dating. The way she isolated me from friends, her jealousy of my family relationships, the hot and cold treatment depending on whether she was getting her way. Several friends have shared similar observations now that we're no longer together. As for my sisters, I've had to set some boundaries there too. I appreciate that they care about me, but their "I told you so" attitude and attempts to control my love life are too much. I told them clearly that while I value their opinions, I need to handle my relationships my own way and in my own time. For now, I'm focusing on school and trying to maintain some distance from both Megan and the post-breakup drama. I've muted her on social media rather than blocking her, simply because I don't want to create more conflict. I've also asked mutual friends not to update me on what she's posting or saying unless it directly involves me in a way I need to address. This breakup has been a bigger mess than I ever anticipated, but at least I'm learning some valuable lessons about relationships, boundaries, and paying attention to warning signs. I'll update again if anything significant changes. Update 2. It's been about 2 months since my initial post, and a lot has happened that I think warrants an update. What started as a simple disagreement over a birthday photo has revealed itself to be just the tip of a very large iceberg. After my last update, I tried to focus on moving forward. I threw myself into my studies, reconnected with friends I hadn't seen much while dating Megan, and even started going to the gym regularly with my roommate. For the most part, Megan and I managed to avoid each other on campus, though I occasionally heard through mutual friends that she was still making vague posts about betrayal and heartbreak. Everything changed 3 weeks ago when I ran into David, one of the guys who had been on the Europe trip with Megan. We had met a few times when he and Megan had some classes together last year. He asked how I was doing with everything, and I gave a vague answer about moving on. He looked confused and asked if Megan and I had worked things out. When I clarified that we were still broken up, he seemed genuinely surprised. According to David, Megan had told everyone on the trip that she and I had broken up before she left. She claimed I had been too controlling and that she needed space to find herself. This was completely false. We were very much together when she left, and we had video called almost every day during her trip. But the revelations didn't stop there. David hesitated before telling me that Megan had become very close with a Swedish exchange student named Stefan during the trip. They had spent nearly every day together, and as Ashley had hinted earlier, there were definitely some photos that looked more than friendly. David said he had assumed they were a new couple based on how they acted around each other. This information hit me hard. While I had no proof that anything physical had happened between them, the fact that Megan had lied about our relationship status to her travel companions was deeply disturbing. It cast our entire relationship in a new light. Had she been honest with me about anything? I debated whether to confront Megan about what I'd learned. Part of me wanted to just let it go and move on with my life. But another part needed some kind of closure or explanation. After thinking about it for a few days, I decided to reach out. We met at a campus coffee shop, and I simply asked her why she had told people we were broken up before her trip. She denied it at first, claiming David was lying or confused. When I pressed her on the details that seemed too specific to be made up, her story changed. She said she had only told people that because our relationship had been rocky before she left, and she didn't want to deal with questions about her boyfriend back home. When I pointed out that our relationship had actually been fine before her trip, we had even talked about moving in together next semester, she got defensive. She accused me of spying on her and trying to trap her with inconsistencies in her story. The conversation quickly deteriorated, and she stormed out of the coffee shop. Later that night, she sent me a long text message admitting that she had developed feelings for Stefan during the trip but swore nothing physical had happened between them. She said she had been confused about our relationship for months before leaving for Europe and that the distance had made her realize we weren't right for each other. According to her version of events, she had planned to break up with me when she got back, but then saw the birthday photo with my sister and used that as the catalyst instead. I'm not sure I believe her timeline. If she had been planning to end things anyway, why get so upset about a harmless photo? And why continue our daily video calls throughout her trip, acting as if everything was normal? None of it adds up. The next twist came from an unexpected source. My cousin Jake, who had left one of those weird comments on my birthday photo, reached out to apologize. He explained that Megan had actually messaged him and several other people who commented on the photo, suggesting that there was something creepy about my relationship with my sisters. She had apparently been planning this idea with various friends and acquaintances for months. Jake showed me the messages where Megan had specifically asked him to comment something that would make me reconsider having the photo as my profile picture. She had done the same with a few of my high school friends, which explained the sudden influx of strange comments that day. I was floored by this revelation. Megan had deliberately orchestrated the negative reaction to the photo, all while pretending to be the reasonable one just concerned about appearances. The level of manipulation was staggering. When I shared this information with my sisters, they weren't surprised. Jenna revealed that she had suspected something like this all along. Apparently, Megan had made several comments over the past year about how weird it was that I was so close with my family. She had tried multiple times to create distance between us, from scheduling dates during our traditional Sunday family dinners to suggesting I skip family events to spend time with her instead. Kate admitted that she had never trusted Megan but had tried to get along with her for my sake. She showed me text messages from months ago where Megan had tried to get her to agree that our family was too close and that it wasn't normal for adult siblings to spend so much time together. When Kate defended our family dynamic, Megan had become cold and distant toward her. The picture that emerged was of someone who had been trying to isolate me from my support network from the very beginning. The birthday photo wasn't the cause of our breakup, it was just the excuse Megan had been waiting for. In a way, I'm grateful that things ended when they did, before I became even more entangled in a relationship with someone who couldn't accept an important part of my life. My family isn't perfect, but they've always been there for me, and I won't apologize for being close to them. As for Megan, I've heard through mutual friends that she's now officially dating Stefan, who apparently transferred to our university for this semester. I wish them well and hope she's found what she's looking for. For my part, I'm focusing on finishing my degree and surrounding myself with people who accept me as I am. Update 3, final. It's been 6 months since my original post, and nearly 8 months since the breakup. I hadn't planned on writing another update, but some recent events gave me closure in a way I never expected. First, the basics. I graduated with my bachelor's degree last month. I've accepted a job offer in a city about 3 hours away from my hometown and will be moving at the end of the summer. My sisters have been helping me apartment hunt online, and Kate even drove up with me last weekend to look at a few places in person. As for Megan, we had managed to avoid each other on campus for the most part. I heard through mutual friends that she and Stefan dated for about 2 months before breaking up. Apparently, he went back to Sweden earlier than planned. I didn't seek out details and try to keep my distance from the whole situation. The unexpected encounter happened at a coffee shop near campus about 3 weeks ago. I was studying for my final exams when someone tapped me on the shoulder. It was Ashley, Megan's former roommate. She asked if she could join me, and I agreed. Ashley apologized for not telling me the whole truth when we spoke at the bookstore months ago. She explained that she had wanted to say more about what happened during Megan's Europe trip but felt caught in the middle. According to Ashley, Megan and Stefan had actually been more than just friends on the trip. She had seen messages and photos that made it clear their relationship wasn't innocent, but Megan had begged her not to tell anyone, especially me. Ashley also revealed something I hadn't known. Megan had been unhappy with our relationship for months before the trip but was afraid to end things because her parents loved me and she worried about how a breakup would affect her social circle. The birthday photo with my sister had given her the perfect excuse to create conflict and make me the bad guy in the narrative. What surprised me most was when Ashley mentioned that Megan had recently started seeing a counselor and had come to some realizations about her behavior patterns. According to Ashley, Megan had acknowledged that she had issues with jealousy and control that stemmed from insecurities in her past relationships. She had apparently expressed regret about how she handled things with me and my family, though she hadn't reached out to apologize directly. I thanked Ashley for her honesty but told her I had moved on and wasn't interested in reopening old wounds. We parted on good terms, and I went back to studying, feeling strangely unburdened by the conversation. A week later, I ran into Megan herself at the campus bookstore. It was awkward at first, with both of us making stilted small talk about graduation and future plans. She mentioned she'd be staying in town for grad school, while I told her about my upcoming move. There was a moment of silence, and then she surprised me by apologizing for how things had ended between us. She didn't go into specifics, but she acknowledged that she hadn't been fair to me or my family. She admitted that her issues with my sisters were more about her own insecurities than anything they had actually done. I appreciated the apology but kept the conversation brief. We wished each other well and went our separate ways. I doubt we'll stay in touch, but it was a more positive note to end on than our last heated argument. The whole experience has been educational, to say the least. I've learned to pay attention to how potential partners interact with the important people in my life. I've also become more aware of manipulation tactics and the importance of maintaining connections with friends and family even when in a relationship. My relationship with my sisters has evolved too. After some honest conversations, I acknowledged that they had seen red flags in Megan's behavior that I had missed, while they admitted they could have found more constructive ways to express their concerns. We've all grown from this experience. I've started dating again casually, nothing serious yet, but I'm approaching relationships with clearer eyes. When I mentioned my close family ties to a woman I went out with recently, she said it was refreshing to meet someone who valued family connections. It was a small moment, but it reminded me that the right person won't try to isolate me from the people I care about. As I pack up my apartment and prepare for this next chapter, I'm grateful for the lessons learned, even if they came through difficult experiences. The birthday photo that sparked all this drama is actually framed on my desk now, not to dwell on the past, but as a reminder to trust my instincts and value the people who accept me as I am. Sometimes the end of one thing is just the beginning of something better. Now let's move to the next story. Story 2. My wife wanted me to sleep with her best friend to spice up our married life. When I lied to her about it, things took a wild turn. I, 33M, never thought I'd be posting here, but I'm at my wit's end and could use some advice. My wife Barbara, 31F, and I've been married for 8 years now. We met during our sophomore year in college when we were both part of the same study group for an economics class. I remember being struck by her confidence and the way she could explain complex concepts so easily. She was this vibrant, outgoing girl who could light up any room she walked into. I was more of the quiet, reserved type, always more comfortable with my nose in a book than at a party. Somehow, we balanced each other out perfectly. She brought me out of my shell, encouraging me to try new things and meet new people. I helped ground her, providing a calm presence when her whirlwind energy became too much. We started dating after a group project forced us to spend more time together, and I found myself falling for her quick wit and infectious laugh. Our relationship was great for the first few years. We traveled whenever we could, saving up our entry-level salaries for weekend trips and the occasional international adventure. I'll never forget our backpacking trip through Europe after graduation. We got lost in the winding streets of Venice, shared our first apartment-style Airbnb in Paris, and had our first major fight, and subsequent makeup, on a rainy day in London. Those experiences shaped us as a couple, teaching us how to navigate challenges together. We got married in a small ceremony surrounded by close friends and family. Her best friend Hazel was her maid of honor, and Hazel's husband Eric was one of my groomsmen. The wedding was simple but beautiful, held in Barbara's parents' backyard. I can still picture Barbara walking down the aisle, her eyes shining with happiness and promise. Hazel and Barbara have been friends since high school. They met in freshman year when they were both trying out for the cheerleading squad. Neither of them made it, but they bonded over their shared disappointment and have been inseparable ever since. They're always going on girls' trips and having weekly wine nights. I never had any issues with their friendship. In fact, I was glad Barbara had such a close friend. Eric and I got along well too, though we weren't as close as our wives. He's a successful businessman, always talking about his latest deals and investments. I work in IT, and while I enjoy my job, it doesn't make for exciting dinner conversation. Still, we'd often get together for double dates or weekend barbecues. Things started to change about 2 years ago. Barbara began complaining that our sex life had become routine and boring. At first, I thought it was just a phase. We'd been together for 6 years at that point, and I figured it was natural for things to slow down a bit. But her dissatisfaction seemed to grow. I tried to spice things up, date nights, weekend getaways, new things in the bedroom, but nothing seemed to satisfy her. She kept pushing for more extreme ideas, which made me uncomfortable. I'm not a prude, but some of her suggestions felt like they crossed a line for me. Last month, she dropped a bombshell on me. We were having dinner at home, something we rarely do these days with our busy schedules. Barbara had cooked, which should have been my first clue that something was up. She's never been much of a cook, preferring takeout or restaurants. As we were finishing up, she casually suggested that I sleep with Hazel to add some excitement to our marriage. I nearly choked on my wine. I was shocked and immediately refused. I told her I had no interest in being intimate with anyone else, especially not her best friend. How could she even suggest such a thing? Barbara seemed disappointed but dropped the subject for a while. However, over the past few weeks, she's been bringing it up more and more frequently. She keeps saying things like Hazel thinks you're attractive and it would just be physical, no emotions involved. I've continued to refuse, but her persistence is wearing me down. Yesterday, things came to a head. Barbara cornered me after dinner and started pressuring me again about sleeping with Hazel. She wouldn't take no for an answer, and I felt backed into a corner. In a moment of frustration, I blurted out that I had already done it. I don't know why I said it, maybe to shock her, maybe to get her to stop asking. Either way, it was a lie. Barbara's reaction wasn't what I expected. Instead of being upset or jealous, she seemed relieved. She started asking for details, which I awkwardly fumbled through. I felt terrible lying, but I didn't know how to backtrack. Now I'm in a mess of my own making. Barbara thinks I've slept with her best friend, and I have no idea how to handle this situation. Should I come clean about the lie? Should I tell Hazel what's going on? I'm worried that if I tell the truth, Barbara will just start pressuring me again. I never thought our marriage would come to this. We used to be so happy together. I remember our honeymoon in Hawaii, how we spent hours just talking on the beach, planning our future. We wanted kids, a house with a big backyard, family game nights. Now it feels like we're strangers living in the same house. I've tried talking to Barbara about our issues, but she always deflects or changes the subject. It's like she's a completely different person from the woman I married. I miss the way things used to be, but I don't know if we can ever get back to that. Looking back, I wonder if I missed some signs. Barbara started staying out later about a year ago, claiming she was networking for her job in marketing. She also began paying more attention to her appearance, buying new clothes and spending more time at the gym. At the time, I was proud of her for focusing on her career and health. Now, I can't help but wonder if there was another reason. There was also an incident about 6 months ago that I had almost forgotten about. We were at a dinner party with Hazel and Eric, and I overheard Barbara and Eric having what seemed like an intense conversation in the kitchen. When I walked in, they quickly separated and Barbara looked flustered. She brushed it off as nothing when I asked about it later, but now I'm second-guessing everything. I'm lost and confused. I love my wife, but I don't understand why she's so set on this idea. Is there something wrong with our marriage that I'm not seeing? Am I being unreasonable for not wanting to sleep with her friend? Any advice would be appreciated. I keep thinking about the early days of our relationship, how we used to stay up all night talking about our dreams and fears. Barbara wanted to start her own marketing firm someday. I wanted to develop innovative software that could help people. We talked about traveling the world together, maybe even living abroad for a while. Now, it feels like we can barely have a conversation that doesn't end in an argument or uncomfortable silence. Part of me wonders if this is just what happens in long-term relationships. Do all couples go through phases like this? Or is there something fundamentally broken in our marriage? I love Barbara, or at least, I love the person she used to be. But I don't know how to reach that person anymore. I'm worried about what this situation might do to our friend group as well. Hazel and Eric have been our closest friends for years. We've celebrated holidays together, been there for each other through job losses and family deaths. If this blows up, it's not just my marriage at stake, but those friendships too. I don't know what to do next. Should I confront Barbara about her strange behavior? Should I talk to Hazel about what's been going on? Or should I just pretend everything is fine and hope this all blows over? Any advice would be greatly appreciated. I feel like I'm drowning here, and I don't know how to save my marriage or myself. Update 1: It's been a week since my last post, and things have taken an unexpected turn. I want to thank everyone who commented and offered advice. Your support has been invaluable during this difficult time. After reading your comments, I realized I needed to have an honest conversation with Hazel. I couldn't keep living with this lie, and I needed to know if she was aware of what Barbara had been suggesting. I met Hazel for coffee at the little cafe where we used to have double dates when we were first married. As I waited for her, I couldn't help but remember happier times, the four of us laughing over shared desserts, planning group vacations, celebrating promotions and birthdays. It felt like a lifetime ago. As soon as Hazel sat down, I could tell something was off. She looked nervous and couldn't meet my eyes. Before I could even bring up the situation with Barbara, Hazel blurted out, "I need to tell you something." What she told me next left me reeling. Apparently, Barbara and Eric, Hazel's husband, have been having an affair for the past 3 years. Hazel found out about 6 months ago but had been trying to work things out with Eric. She said she'd been suspicious for a while, late night work meetings, secretive phone calls, unexplained expenses, but hadn't wanted to believe it. I felt like the ground had dropped out from under me. 3 years. Half of our marriage. All those times Barbara was out with the girls or working late, she was with Eric. The vacations she took alone because I couldn't get time off work. The weekends she spent helping her mom. It all started to make sense. Hazel broke down crying, apologizing for not telling me sooner. She said she'd been torn between her loyalty to Barbara as a friend and her belief that I deserved to know the truth. What finally pushed her to confess was Barbara's suggestion that I sleep with Hazel. Apparently, Barbara had approached Hazel with this idea, claiming it would even things out and make their betrayal less severe. As Hazel talked, memories started flooding back. I remembered a business trip Barbara took about 3 years ago. She had been so excited about it, saying it could lead to a big promotion. When she came back, something seemed different. She was distant, distracted. I had chalked it up to stress from work, but now I wondered if that was when the affair started. There was also the time last year when Barbara insisted on redecorating our bedroom. She bought new sheets, new curtains, even a new mattress. At the time, I thought she was just going through a nesting phase. Now, I felt sick thinking about the real reason she might have wanted to change everything. I was furious, hurt, and overwhelmed. Everything I thought I knew about my marriage, about Barbara, had been a lie. I thanked Hazel for her honesty and left the cafe in a daze. When I got home, I confronted Barbara. At first, she tried to deny everything, but when I told her Hazel had confessed, she broke down. She admitted to the affair but tried to justify it, saying she felt neglected and unloved. She claimed that her suggestion about me sleeping with Hazel was an attempt to save our marriage, to make things fair. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The woman I had loved and trusted for so long was trying to manipulate me into accepting her infidelity. I told her I needed space and left to stay with a friend. Over the next few days, I did a lot of thinking. I remembered how Barbara and I used to talk about everything, how we'd stay up late sharing our dreams and fears. I thought about the day we bought our first house, how excited we were to start our life together. All of that felt tainted now. I also reflected on the past few years, how Barbara had become more distant and critical. She'd often make comments about how I didn't make enough money or wasn't ambitious enough. I realized now that she'd been comparing me to Eric, who owns a successful business. I thought about all the little moments that should have clued me in. The way Barbara would tense up when I touched her phone. The sudden interest in going to the gym at odd hours. The new friends she never introduced me to. It all pointed to a truth I hadn't wanted to see. After a lot of soul searching, I've decided I can't continue this marriage. The trust is broken, and I don't think it can be repaired. I've contacted a lawyer and am preparing to file for divorce. Hazel and I have been in touch. She's also decided to end her marriage to Eric. We're both hurting, but it's been helpful to have someone who understands what I'm going through. We've shared memories of the early days of our marriages, trying to pinpoint when things started to go wrong. It's painful, but also cathartic in a way. I'm still processing everything, and some days are harder than others. But I know I deserve better than a marriage built on lies and manipulation. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I'm determined to move forward with honesty and self-respect. Update 2: It's been a month since my last update, and a lot has happened. I want to thank everyone again for their support and advice. It's been a difficult journey, but I'm starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel. Hazel and I have been working together with our respective lawyers to gather evidence of the affair. We found credit card statements showing hotel bookings, text messages, and even some emails where Barbara and Eric discussed their relationship. It was painful to go through, but it strengthened our resolve. One particularly difficult discovery was a series of photos from a trip Barbara had told me was a girls' weekend with Hazel. The pictures showed her and Eric at a beach resort, looking very much like a couple in love. Seeing those images brought back all the hurt and anger I thought I was starting to move past. We both filed for divorce on the same day. Barbara and Eric were blindsided. They didn't expect us to find out about their affair, let alone take such decisive action. Barbara tried to convince me to reconsider, promising to end things with Eric and go to couples therapy. But I stood firm. The trust was broken, and I knew I couldn't live with the constant doubt and suspicion. The divorce proceedings have been messy. Barbara is contesting the division of assets, claiming she's entitled to more because of her emotional suffering. It's ironic, considering she's the one who caused all this pain. My lawyer assures me we have a strong case, especially with the evidence of her infidelity. Hazel and I have been supporting each other through this process. We meet regularly to discuss our cases and just to talk. It's been helpful to have someone who truly understands what I'm going through. We're both dealing with a lot of anger and hurt, but we're also finding strength we didn't know we had. Last week, we had to go through our old photo albums to find documentation for the divorce proceedings. It was a bittersweet experience, seeing all those happy memories now tainted by what we know. There was a photo from our first Valentine's Day as a married couple, where Barbara had surprised me with a homemade dinner. Another showed the four of us at a New Year's Eve party, our arms around each other, faces full of laughter. It's hard to reconcile those images with the reality of our situation now. I've moved out of our house and into a small apartment. It's been an adjustment, but it feels good to have my own space. I'm rediscovering hobbies I'd let slide during my marriage, playing guitar, hiking, even trying my hand at cooking. It's like I'm getting to know myself again. Work has been a welcome distraction. I threw myself into a big project, and my boss has been understanding about the occasional need to take time off for legal meetings. My coworkers have been supportive too, once I explained the situation. As for Barbara and Eric, last I heard, they're still together. Part of me wonders if their relationship will last now that it's out in the open, but honestly, I try not to think about it too much. They made their choices, and now we're all living with the consequences. I'm not going to pretend it's been easy. There are still days when I wake up and for a split second, forget everything that's happened. But then reality sets in, and I have to face the day. But each day gets a little easier, and I'm starting to look forward to the future again. One unexpected outcome of all this has been reconnecting with old friends. People I had lost touch with over the years have reached out after hearing about the divorce. Last weekend, I went fishing with my college roommate for the first time in years. It felt good to remember who I was before all of this happened. For now, I'm focusing on healing and moving forward. I'm not ready to think about dating or new relationships yet. I need time to process everything and learn to trust again. But I'm hopeful that someday, I'll find someone who values honesty and commitment as much as I do. I've also started journaling, trying to make sense of everything that's happened. It's helping me process my emotions and see patterns in my relationship that I might have missed before. It's not always easy to confront these truths, but I believe it's necessary for my healing. To anyone going through something similar, hang in there. It's a tough road, but you're stronger than you think. Trust your gut, surround yourself with supportive people, and don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. You deserve happiness and respect. As I look towards the future, I'm trying to focus on the positives. I have a chance to rediscover myself, to build a life that truly reflects who I am and what I want. It's scary, but also exciting. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm in control of my own story.